If you're trying to grow your welding business without quitting your full-time job, this episode will show you exactly how to make it without burning out. This guy works 2 full-time jobs, putting in 40 to 60 hours at his day job and still running his business. The way that he's doing it might completely change how you think about starting yours. Most guys either stay stuck in their day job forever or they make the jump too early and their business struggles. Today, I'm talking with David from DTB Fab. He's built his business on nights and weekends for years while holding a full-time job, and he's made it work. We break down how he got his first jobs, how he balances family and work, and the biggest mistakes that will cost you time and money while you're trying to do the same thing. So let's get into it. All right, David with DTB Fab, man. How you doing, bud?
Good, doing good.
Awesome, man. Haven't seen you since Fab Tech. What you been up to?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's kind of staying busy, trying to stay busy.
Good, man. Good, man. For the guys everybody's listening who doesn't know you, give yourself a little bit of an intro of like who you are, what you do, where you were at, and give us a sales pitch of who you are and what you do. OSHA approved, right?
That's where the welding sort of blended into, and then in 2012, I believe it was, I started my own company, and I started an LLC, and everything that I was doing, I'm also complete since about my first car at 14. That's where the welding started. I realized I couldn't afford a welder or a body guy. I thought I could figure out how to do it, and that took 10 years. But like everything else, that's how much to do that? I could just buy a welder, And so the passion's been there the whole time, the excitement, the drive, and then putting it all to fruition. Maybe it was 2012, I think, that I went LLC, and just everybody around me that I was working on my stuff. Hey, can you fix this for me? Can you weld that for me? Can you put this piece together? Can you bend this piece? And that's where my own side took off.
Okay.
And on that, I still keep a full-time job, but I have 2 full-time jobs. It's I definitely I'm in the shop till 8 to 10 o'clock at night, and all weekends. It's anything from, the only thing I haven't done is an airplane. Bikes, cars, boats, planes, structural. I don't know, anything that I became the local job shop. Go there, he'll work on it, he'll fix it. He's kind of stupid and he never says no. It's been a ride. I can't really define this one aspect that I do X. It's sort of I do what they bring me next week. Having 2 full-time jobs, and then so my own with DTB is pretty much another 40 to 60 hour week most times, and I tried to keep it a side job till it became its own entity, and it's everything from bikes, boats, airplanes, the only thing I haven't actually done yet, and job shop type stuff, anything that I fall into that category of, like, I'm beyond homeowners and hobbyists and not quite giant shop, blueprint jobs. And so whether it's small structural stuff to building bikes to sheet metal on cars or anything sort of in between, and that also comes with a lot of nuts and bolts and motor work. And
that's cool.
She's just trying to Chris Epp, that landed in my lap, that it just happened to be at Lucas's house. His engine blew in his mini skid, and rebuilt that here for him. And the welding,
so you're a jack of all trades. You just do everything.
It's and it came in that funny thing that, like, how'd you learn that? It's like, well, I was poor, and I didn't have any money, and I realized that to pay people to do these things and bodywork and sheet metal and fix your car and build these things for you was really expensive.
Yeah,
and well earned, that I realized in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Everybody earns their salt, but then it became addictive. I never did drugs, never done one in my life, but buying tools and learning how to do things is absolutely addictive.
Heck yeah. I know. I joke that I started my business just because I need to feed my tool addiction.
That's it's working well.
Right?
I don't know where it ends, but holy smokes.
And
yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't, actually.
So why do you still keep your full-time job somewhere else with the company you're with, rather than just hop ship on your own?
It's that's actually honestly really been a fight, but I have a lot of customers that I work with. I've been at this company for 27 years, and we do a lot of work for a lot of good people, and it's It's a thing that I've worked so hard with that I really love doing that too. And I still have the ability to do it. That may change in 5, 6 years when I get there. But yeah, I guess the only reason is that I can still do both, and I can manage that. And I have a wicked supporting wife. She understands when I'm in the shop all night. She has her own passions and hobbies and things, so it's not like she's waiting for me every night and I'm just a curmudgeon. But yeah, no,
That's
having a
awesome.
supporting family and a whole circle of people that support you is huge. It makes things so much easier on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Having a supportive wife in anything is, it just makes life go so much easier, you know?
I don't know oh man, I don't know how people do it if they don't have that.
So how did you just go from having a full-time job to just starting your own LLC, and like, where did the work come from? Was it almost like out of necessity, or was it out of passion because you loved what to do this on the side? Like, explain that out, like unpack that up for me a little bit.
It was both. It was both. So I bought my first car when I was 14. I bought a 72 Dot, and like everything else in New England, it needed floors, it needed quarter panels, and I'm like, all right, this will be great. We'll get this rolling. Oh yeah, cool. And I was starting to learn the wrenching, and then a friend of a friend, I got a body guy. He'll come down and look at it for you. And all right, yeah, he came in, and it was like, I forget now, it was 3,500, $4,000 or something to do all the metalwork in the car, and that was just to do the metalwork. I'm like, what are you out of your mind? I don't have that kind of money. Like, I'm making like $200 a week, you know. And I figured, my brother and I both do the same thing, and we're passionate. And the cars, as much as we were with the career we were building, and that turned into, well, we could buy a welder. Like, that's cheaper than hiring this body guy. And like, we can do it. And oof, oh man, that was
Way back before YouTube too.
Yeah, that was 90. About that, I was 96.
Yeah.
So I got the floors in that car. We did it. That was like a testing ground. There was a lot of things. I hope that car's not around anymore. I hope it's in a crusher because it wasn't pretty. But it was, bought a Millimatic. My brother bought a Millimatic, and it just took off from there. And he was renting a shop with a friend, and then it turned into, instead of buying a house, me and my brother bought a commercial garage together, and we were working out of there. Just turned out to be like, let's just build our stuff. We want to build cool stuff, you know. Then it was, wow, it's getting expensive. Like, we have a tool addiction. We have this hobby for cars and quads and bikes and everything. And then it was, people would come by and, what are you working on? Like, yeah, made this frame. Oh man, can you weld this for me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then he told his friend, and then, hey, can you fix this for me? Can you do this thing? Can you fix this? What a transmission case. It's not a way to start a business, but it was like, yeah, sure. And then they'd leave, and I'm like, what the hell are we going to do? I have no idea what I'm doing right now. And, it was a little bit of blissful ignorance.
Yeah.
But I had the tenacity. I was going to figure it out. And there were a lot of jobs that cost me money to grind my teeth. And I did a lot of like rocket panels and just miserable work to just sort of to like learn. I'm like, yeah, send me anything and I'll do it. And even if it's $100, whatever I make, I'm making money to do something. Otherwise I wouldn't be making. Yeah. And so I kept sort of pushing with the motorsports. And then as that started to not take off, I don't want to make it sound like it like launched to stardom. It was more just like a progression of every night I had something to do. Every night I had to meet somebody. And then it became people I didn't know. And it's like, so-and-so wants to go by. It's like, all right, here's my number. Like, I drove so there was that too. I drove a tow truck at night for 8 years. So every night, weekend, and holiday, I was driving a tow truck. Then those would break and I'd fix those. And I'm like, hey, can I just fix it? Just let me fix it. And I would do it for nothing. And then he would throw me a few bucks. And that was another way to learn. Like, I get to drive a truck. I'm not paying for a truck. I have no responsibilities but answer the phone and go tow a car if it ends up upside down the highway. But everything was like a trial by fire. And I just kept pushing, like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And yeah, then it turned into getting nicer work. Like, once the grungy stuff started fading away, I was like, man, I don't want to do another set of rockers in a Chevy. Like, give me something better. Somebody, hey, can you build an intercooler for me? Can you do like intake tubing for me? It's like, yeah, all right. We learned how to weld aluminum. That was another thing at that time in the like early 2000s. You either went to a big giant shop and it was understandably a lot of money, but we were the guys that were like, yeah, sure, bring it down, and we can do your little project for you. And that really spearheaded into a different avenue of building bikes. Was a big thing. Built a bike for a friend of mine that when he got sick, he was in midway in building a bike, and he got sick, and it was terminal. So we ended up like just ganging up and getting a bike done for him, and it came out absolutely unbelievably killer.
Nice.
And then a couple other people reached out like, hey, can you do it? It was on the bike craze 04 and 03 and Jesse James and all the
West Coast choppers and OCC.
And it was an influence, man. I'm still looking for a power hammer. I'm actively looking for a sheet metal Yoda power hammer. But that was when it started to get cool. And that was where won a few bike shows around here. I took first place with a couple of builds we did, and it started to really got me focused on being super detail oriented. That like there wasn't good enough anymore. Now it's like got to be perfect. And when you get to work on some really cool stuff with expensive paint and chrome, and the tolerances got tighter, the attention to detail got better. That's when it really kicked off, that like getting passionate about doing things and still filling the gaps with, anything in between, whatever people brought by. And that's what sort of necessitated, like, especially starting to work in, if it was in somebody's homes, doing a railing or doing, working on vehicles and things, that like, I should probably turn this into an LLC and try to separate myself and maybe have some protection. And I won't screw anything up. I'm working on tractor trailers. It was a lot of that too. Tow trucks and tractor trailers and pinto plates and so much of that kind of work that
you really need that protection for that.
It grew into, it just had to be done. And it was, it's kind of funny. I can't remember a time, but it was just like one day you wake up and go, holy crap, how did I end up here? And there's still days I do that, but yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride, and it's everything in between. I'm always amazed because I get so much different stuff. I think that's the most fun in it, that I don't do just stainless sanitary. Like, it's not a solitary activity I do, and that's what keeps it so interesting and so fun. There are miserable days in between. There's a lot of miserable jobs that still show up, even though I think I can beat them sometimes. But
do you still do rocker panels?
That is the only thing I will not do anymore. I have had so many people, and I'm like, dude, that's a young man's game. There's somebody out there just like me that wants to learn, and they're happy to do it. or I just like, I want $1 million. So just, and they get the gist of it. But yeah.
I talked to guys, my buddy Scott from up in Concord River, a while ago. He texted me a picture. He's like, this is the last rocker job I'm ever going to do. And I'm so excited.
We're stupid too. I can't say I'll never do it again, because something will show up and I'll be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, sure. Yep. And yeah, we do. I did my brother and I did a 60, oh God, he's going to kill me, 67 Camaro convertible. And that came in as like an auto rocker. We had that car. We replaced every piece of metal except for the trunk lid, the windshield frame, and the rear seat pillars. Everything. Oh man, that car was in so many pieces. And that was one of those, that was actually a job that scared the death out of me, because we had it so far apart, and it was a convertible. And I mean, I didn't grow up with coach builders. I didn't, like, I was mentored by anybody. Like, we really just were like reading books and trying to figure it out and using the best of our knowledge, which was limited. But he got that car back, and the only thing he had to do was they had to push the passenger side pillar 1/16 of an inch. Everything lined up, man. And
nice.
That was one of those, like,
sweating bullets.
Right, yeah. Not, we're not as dumb as we think we are, and that was a relief. And that was also actually where it started to feel like, all right, I'm not a hobbyist. I'm not a joke anymore. Like, it was a comfort setting feeling to know that you actually produce something quality without that, without somebody over your shoulder, or without somebody telling you how to do it. I think everybody's probably had that feeling at one point in their lives when they succeed, when they know they succeed.
Yeah.
And did well with something.
So, like, with the variety of stuff that you do, what is your favorite type of job to do?
Sheet metal.
Really?
Sheet metal shaping. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Taking something, I guess maybe, I think around here it's limited, and it is, to go back to that Jesse James thing, when you can take sheet metal from a flat and make something beautiful, like a motorcycle gas tank or a fender, or reproduce like an antique car fender. It's mostly, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. I shouldn't say just sheet metal. It's anything you can't buy. Last year, it took me a year and a half to do a 1934 Morgan 3-wheeler frame from England that was all brazed together and cast. It was cast sections and then tubing in between, and I had to make every piece. I couldn't find any castings. I reached out to a few people that had cast pieces for me before for panhead frames and things, and they were out of the game, and then the pieces were too expensive to even attempt. So I made everything out of steel and replicated everything and brazed it and did it the way they did it in England in 1934.
Really?
Yeah, that was an incredibly satisfying project.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was, and that was another one that, man, there were some days I'm like, this is never gonna work. I'm down and out, but you forge ahead, and then you get that little victory. There's one little thing that kind of comes together the way you were hoping. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
maybe I got it. And yeah, watching him put that back in his truck when he left here, it was a year and a half worth of work, but it came out perfect, and I'd put it up against anything. That was satisfying. Yeah,
That's cool.
So taking things that don't exist and reproducing them, replicating them, or even just your own design, your own an artistic side of it is satisfying.
So with this being your side gig, like, where does all your business come from? Just word of mouth, or do you try to advertise with that, or?
Word of mouth.
Okay.
Social media, I guess advertisements for that is keep posting and pushing, and then that got to so much I just couldn't handle. Like I bought a service truck, and when did I buy that? I bought that in 2015. So I had my own maintainer, a 550 crane and everything, and I was running around like a maniac, and that got to a point that that was construction equipment. That was buckets and fixing booms and excavator parts and loaders, and it was like that got out of control in a hurry. And I kept up the best I could, and I always wanted to keep, like, I prefer the shop work because I think I can do the best for the customer in the shop instead of trying to chase schedules and working all night and being in the dark. And even all those ones, all the construction, that was a lot of friends of friends, and hey, my buddy's got, he just ripped a tooth off. Can you go put a shank on? And yeah, all right. It was good, but that was a lot of time away from the family too, which is something I never really wanted to go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my dad did his whole life. He, being in the heating industry, he took on side work and he'd work all night. I don't resent or have anything against that. He did an awesome job and he's a great dad, but I just remember I'm like, man, I'd rather have, if I can be in the shop with the kids, even if I'm working, they can run out and hang around and they can be a part of it. And I think I've done pretty well with that. It was sometimes when it gets rough, but
Tell me how you balance that, because I feel like that's something that everybody in business deals with, is like being pulled away from the family and still working, and that dad guilt that you've got.
Yeah.
When you're actually
100%.
When you should be with them, and then you kind of bring them into the shop and they're doing things, but they're kind of in the way a little bit, and like you should be like telling them everything about what you had to do, but the customer's coming to pick this up tomorrow, so like I just need to get it done. And like, how do you balance that? Like, what does that look like for you?
I don't think I do. And I don't do it well. Usually, if they come out and they want to hang out, I spend the time with them, and we'll do whatever with that. If I got to stay up till the next morning, then that's fine. I'll figure out a way to get it done. I try not to push them off. If they're around, they want to do something, and they're excited about something, or if they want to, hey, what are you welding on? Can we try that? And like, all right, pull a piece of scrap, and there's a part they're like, come on, hurry up. I need to get stuff done. But
Yes.
But they're I try to just like, it's like coming home from a day job. You leave that stuff at the door, leave it in the driveway. Don't bring that in the house. And I don't want them to feel rushed or not important. It happens. I'm sure it happens, and I'm sure they'll have those memories of certain things. But I try to separate that as best I can. Again, it's just one of those, like, you put on your game face and you deal with it.
Yeah.
And how other people view that, I think what I find most of my kids, hopefully they'll notice, is just their mom's incredibly hardworking and their dad's incredibly hardworking, and they get a work ethic out of it, even if
Mhm.
it's the cost of like, yeah, they weren't, we don't go to t-ball games, and we're not soccer moms and dads, and our kids aren't into sports a ton or band and things like that. So we don't have that baseball game, hockey game. So we don't have a schedule like that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
How old are your kids?
I got, oh man, 14,
Ish.
14, 12, 14, 12, and 7.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'll send that one to the bank. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember when my oldest was in, he was always in something. And then
Yeah.
my middle child, like my daughter, he got into things, and it's like every night we're somewhere. And it was like Girl Scouts and swimming or basketball and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, this kind of sucks, you know?
It's tough. Yeah. And it always happens. Like, that was actually one of the things I did was put one of them, the electronic calendars in the kitchen for my wife. And
Mm.
well, it was for us, but apparently I never read it. I think the only thing I had in there was this podcast, and my wife had to remind me it was on there. But yeah, it's more the like, okay, yeah, you make like 3 different appointments. Or you have a job you have to get done, and you're like, wait, we're doing what tonight? No. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't say no, you go do it, and you get back at the house at 8 o'clock at night, and you're like, all right, I'll be in the shop. I'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's just to me, it's just natural. I think we all go through it. I think every dad has that same story to tell.
Yeah. Who do you think taught you the most in your career with, did you have a mentor? Did you go to school for any of this?
See, that's a weird breed. A lot of people. My father's a gas fitter and been in the heating industry his entire life, and everybody likes, oh, you always got to work with your dad. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I worked with my dad. I worked for my dad, and that was hold the flashlight here. That whole meme and.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you? Come on, let's go moving. Your boots filled with concrete. Come on. And we didn't have father son. Come here, son. I want to show you how this works. He worked and he showed me how to get work done.
Mm-hmm.
He by example, he showed efficiency. He showed tenacity. He showed if it's got to get done, just do it. And nobody's going to come save you. Get it done. And I didn't know that as a young kid. Actually, I thought everybody worked like him, and then I found out, like, what is wrong with him? He's a mutant, like, why is he doing all this stuff by himself? But I grew up so long that was just normal that I just thought that's how it was, so I did it, and I was like, okay, yeah. And it like I said, it wasn't like a classroom with him. It was more like, whatever you do. That's the one thing he told me when I was a kid. He goes, I don't care what you do when you grow up. I don't care if you flip pizzas. You better be the best at it. And it was that was one of those things that really sticks with me. And he was a licensed guy in a lot of trades, and gas fitting, steam fitting, and pipe fitting, and I remember like that one time a year he'd pull out his wallet and have to renew his licenses and doing all the paperwork and the things when it was all mail. And I'm like, wow, what are those? He was a sprinkle fitter. It's like, you do irrigation? Like, no, sprinkles in buildings, you idiot. And like, it was all those things. I just remember looking at that and going like, wow. Like, I have to get all those. I have to do that. Like, it set standards for me. And he never set standards for me, but he did subconsciously, just by how and who he was. And it was him. And then I will say it was my brother. He's 5 years older than me, but as much as we can drive each other nuts, and I know how to wind him up, and he knows how to, knock my teeth out if he had to. He took me along. In my formative youth, buying a car at 14, that I bought off his buddy, and he took me along. He let me experience some things that some I glad I did, some I shouldn't have. It was hanging around with the guys, the 20-year-olds and the 25-year-olds. It was life lessons, learning lessons. That's where I drove the tow truck. It was one of his buddies growing up, and so like I got to experience a lot of things like 5 years ahead of everybody else. That was a credit to him. And any tool he had, it was always my tool. So like if he bought a welder, I was allowed to use it. If it was, and then we started to emulate each other. That, oh, you have this one, well, I'll buy this tool. Like whatever tool he didn't have, I'd buy, or what I didn't have, he'd buy. And so like we amassed a giant collection of equipment by doing that. Yeah, and the same, and we learned together. It was like trying to learn how to TIG weld. I remember that he traded a snowmobile. We didn't snowmobile, but somebody had a blown up one. He fixed it. And hey, I got a TIG welder. You want that? As a Lincoln Square Wave 175. I was like, yeah, sure. That was how we actually started TIG welding. And then we sat down there and melted electrodes and tungstens and filler wire stuck and everything. Man, it was a disaster, but we conquered. Yeah. It was like, the only thing you had was a textbook. There was no Jody Collier. There was no tips and tricks. There was nothing out there.
Yeah.
And, it was, wow, this is interesting.
Reading books on how to weld, like, that's so far removed from so many people of,
it really is.
That's how, like, I went to school for it, but I can't imagine trying to learn something like welding from a book. Yeah,
especially a textbook.
Yeah, and in the age of YouTube where you can watch everything, that's how I learn everything now. And
I use it so much.
I'm kind of in the same boat where I was like, I'm pretty frugal and pretty handy. So that's why I figured out how to do a little bit of just about everything on my own, because I don't want to pay somebody else to do it. And I'm kind of picky. I'm like, you didn't do it right. You scratched this, and I don't like it how we did that. And just now, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. And in the age of YouTube, man, the wealth of knowledge that is out there is it's freaking awesome. Our kids will. It's so funny because my kids will. We have, much to my dismay, I hate the fact that we have an Amazon Alexa in our house. But listen, my kids use that dozens of times a day. My daughter's trying to learn how to spell things. Alexa, how do you spell Constitution? How do you spell this? Set a timer for that. And they'll never know a time that there wasn't AI. They'll never know a time that there wasn't somebody at their beck and call, something at their beck and call to answer the questions that they have. Think about that for a second.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, the technology that I learned in the early 2000s. And I'm like, you guys should have seen that. We thought we were cool, and then
we had so many Chilton's books on how to fix everything.
Yeah, I still got them. They're right over there. I got a whole wall full of books, and I used to have a whole cabinet in my service truck that was filled with manuals and books because I had no resource. It was only, just whatever books you'd accumulate. I still got books going back to the 20s. I use daily on a lot of equipment I work on. And I always say that's actually one thing of all the electronics and everything I have. And as much as I utilize YouTube and Amazon and Google for all these things, the first thing I do every project I get, doesn't matter if I own it or I don't own it. If it's a car, a quad, anything that was manufactured by someone, I buy a manual for it. That is the first thing I do. I buy a hard copy manual, and I have just books of it, and some things overlap. And that's always been my number one rule. Go buy a manual for it. And then, the apocalypse happens, I'll be able to fix something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the technology is absolutely, I remember saying all this stuff was stupid when my wife was on Facebook in college. I'm like, that's dumb. Now I'm like, I gotta go check Facebook, and I gotta go post this, and like, oh God, what did I become?
No, I relate with you on the manual thing, because a lot of my equipment is I have two forklifts, and one of them is from 59, and the other one's from the 60s, and one of them came with all the books, the stacks of books. Go online, you buy the PDF for $30. And I print it out and put it in a 3-ring binder. I have an old Yanmar tractor I was using yesterday. I have an old 70s Yanmar tractor, 155 diesel with a 4-wheel drive. It's not charging the battery. Well, you know what? I can go in there. It gives me part numbers. It tells me how to diagnose whether my generator on the tractor is working or not. I'm like, man, you would never find this anywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I don't know. Sometimes I look back, I'm like, I didn't even know how I got here, how I got this far. It doesn't make any sense. And, of course, learning the textbook TIG was incredibly hard because I didn't have a teacher. The textbook would have made more sense if I had a teacher. I did something I went to a Voc school, but I took plumbing, and then I took welding. When I finished plumbing courses, I'd go down there and hang out, but I didn't get instructed. It was more you can work on a little project or something if you want. When I did finally embrace YouTube, that I found Jody Collier, and I was like, holy crap, this guy, like, look at all this. Like, he works for Delta, and he told me, like, you don't have to ball your tungsten. Like, oh, you can just do this. You can just run a red and use it on everything. You don't need to go, like, all these weird little things that I'm like, I thought that was like, a burn in hell if I didn't do it the right way in the textbook said. And that opened up like a real different avenue of success for me too. And it was great. I got to sit and have a glass of wine with him at FabTech in 2019 when I met him, and that was like one of those most amazing things. I got to thank him for it, like just meeting him in person and saying, "You have no." Well, he does know. He knows. Everybody says it, but getting to meet some of the mentors that I've learned from on YouTube and being able to thank them has actually been a blessing too, because there's just so much knowledge out there that people share, and it's so cool. Yeah, and technology. I can't believe it. Every once in a while, I'll read through a book and they come out and look at me like, what are you reading that for? I'm like, oh, I need to figure out how to fix it. Just look it up on YouTube. I'm like, oh, God.
Right. Well, it's funny. Back to that Yamar thing. I was looking at the scanned in PDF version of like my tractor's manual from the 70s, telling me how to like diagnose this and like what the ohms should be and this and that. And then I hop on ChatGPT and say, hey, find me, this is the part number that it is. Find this for me for sale. You know what I mean? And then it's like in about this year, the your part number changed part numbers because they got bought out, or this was an import model. This is your new part number, and here's 3 places to buy it. Like
what?
The jump from so analog to like the most advanced thing we have in the world right now it's just at our fingertips, and we just have full access to it. I think sometimes we just don't see or appreciate the gap there of like what we're using on our left side to what we're using on our right side, and just the gap of so many years and the technology in between both.
That's what I completely agree. And I always wonder if that like helps or hinders. I always like to say, not that it was hard, but like learning the hard way with something. If you can only afford a crappy tombstone that's been beat to death, and you learn how to weld on that, and then you get to run like an SA 200. Like you get to appreciate that. You get to appreciate a little more, at least in my mind, because I learned on like cheap used tools that like anything I could afford or find, or that somebody would give me or let me borrow. And then when I finally did buy nice stuff, when I bought a Dynasty, I'm like, oh my God, this is this is how a TIG welder can perform. Like, wow, this is amazing. I don't know if I learned on a Dynasty, it might have been like, give me some other piece of crap, and I couldn't. Now I'm like, I feel like I'm capable of like, you can pretty much give me anything. And, I sometimes I really embrace the fact that learning the hard way, learning the tough way, and, learning how to do something by hand and then using a power tool is like a game changer. It's in plumbing, when you threaded pipe by hand, you really appreciate it when you get a power threader. It was like, wow, all right, this is way better. And yeah, I just wonder if, learning how to scan for information and read books and retain the knowledge from a book as a side to like, hey, chat, how do you fix this? And what do I do with this? Like, even though the information's there, I don't know if that retainability will be the same. But I guess, I don't know, I'm sure it's the same thing. When I was an up-and-coming plumber, they called us plastic plumbers because all the old guys did no-hub pipe and soil pipe. So we were the PVC guys, and they thought we were hacks. I guess every generation has somebody they got to pick on, and
yeah,
it'll be the same. They'll be smart. They'll figure it out. And, we all had that one guy. There was always that one guy at the car show that knew every stat about a Chevelle. Like, in 71, they did this and did that. And you're like, man, how do you know this stuff?
He's lived it since 71.
Yeah, he read a lot of books.
Well, speaking of learning things the hard way, what's the hardest thing you've learned in your business?
Geez, the hardest thing I've learned, that's a good one. CAD and CAM, learning the computers. I got the plasma table, and I was so scared of it. I bought one of them Inventables, the CNC routers, for like $1,500. I'm like, if I will buy this. I didn't have any interest in it to begin with, but if I can learn this, then I'll buy a plasma table for $20,000.
Okay.
And it was like a test myself, and then all of a sudden I bought that. I fumbled my way. I took some classes online. I went through YouTube and did all the as much information I could learn. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm making signs, I'm making things for people. And hey, I'm like, I don't want to be making signs. What am I doing? Like, and now I'm woodworking and wood finishing and doing these things. And it was fun for a minute. It paid for itself. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go buy that plasma table now. The computer side of everything actually is still, because it's the part that it brings me back to the old days. The people that know it just talk about it, and it's like, oh, you just do this. It's like, yeah, well, hold on, like, what is this, and
But
this?
write
Like,
this down. Yeah.
like I plugged in the wall. That's as far as I've gotten. And there's so much, like using Fusion. That's what I use now is Fusion, and there's just so many avenues to it. Now I have a CNC 3-axis mill, so now it's like, okay, now you're taking 2D. Now I'm going to 3D, and I want to learn how to do that. And I got the firearms and things that I'm working on, and building that up is just like this. I feel like I'm a 17-year-old kid again that doesn't know what's going on. And like, I showed up late to the class and, hey, teacher, can you help me out? And
Yeah.
it's I feel like every 10 years I sort of see this go through this, like, hey, I'm going to start doing this now. And it's another avenue that is scary, but there's so many people. Dylan Haas on a few weeks ago there, and he's another one. I talked to him a little bit and asked him some question. I told him I actually ordered a laser table, and I was talking to him about that. And now that I've gotten more comfortable reaching out to people, and whether it's Instagram or YouTube and just looking up information, people are so available with their information. They're so willing to share. There's less gaslighting, I feel like, than when I grew up, that like people trying to like hold on to some secret or
Makes them more valuable.
Yeah, and I never really got that. I love showing people. If I learn how to do something, I will tell everybody around me, because that feeling of, holy smokes, the Eureka cartoon moment is like, it's a great feeling. And why would you keep anyone else from doing that? Like, it's so funny that Tommy Mello, the podcaster there, he always says, he goes, I can show you how to get abs, but most people won't do it. It's, it depends on what you want to do. You can show anybody all your secrets, but they have to go do it if they want to be successful.
Yeah.
Some do, some don't. The ones that do, they deserve it. They deserve the knowledge.
So do you listen to any podcasts or books or audiobooks or anything like that?
All I listen to.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, podcasts and books, yeah, all the time. And of course yours. Yeah, it's a mixture of like micro kind of things. I'm always interested to learn. Sometimes I need to get away from what I listen, what I do, and as far as like a living and a career or welding. Sometimes it gets overloaded and you just sort of had enough. But yeah, books.
What kind of recommendations would you give for books and podcasts?
Geez, Mike Rowe I really love. He's a real unbiased guy to a degree, but he's a champion of the blue collar people, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, man. He knows so many words, and he can quote so many books. He's definitely a podcast I enjoy listening to. God, books.
Is that the Way I Heard It podcast, or did you start another one?
Yep, The Way I Heard It. There's what do I have? One of the latest books I have. I do a lot of history. Big under history. I do a lot of history stuff, some weird pinpointing history things, World War II stuff, always big into that, and the mechanical side of World War II, manufacturing and how they, embrace that. That amazes me to this day. Like, I was watching one the other day about, what building they put up. I forget which building it was. Not the CSI. It was one of the buildings in New York that they built, and they did it in like 14 months. And it just blows. It was the Empire State. Yeah, it was the Empire State. It was documented on that they built it in like 14 months. It blows my mind that they could do that, and how they did it by hand with all the stuff we have nowadays. Yeah, so I usually listen to a mix of history, mechanical, the books. I don't know. I got so many books now. I got so much stuff in my Audible right now that I'm not even sure where I left off.
You and me both.
Yeah, sometimes I use the podcast to learn more, and sometimes I use it to disconnect and just shut off and listen to something random. True crime. I do some true crime. My wife's huge into that, which is crazy. Obviously, making it Jimmy DeResta's one. That's kind of cool because they do a lot of different. They're all up on the map, whether it's woodworking or CNC or different things, and a little bit of welding, but some hunting stuff. I do that. Working hands, grind. Weld.com, of course. The home service expert is that Tommy Mello one I was talking about. He's a funny guy. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a mixture of like cars and stuff, but like I said, it's sometimes it's past gas. Those guys are all right. The Donut Media. I don't know. I kind of float around. It depends on the mood. Sometimes you drive home without the radio on. You're like, oh my God, what happened today?
You're like, my brain is overloaded. I just need to quiet for a little bit.
Yeah. Then you get home and you're like, how did I get here? I don't remember that ride. It was one of those days.
So with I mean, obviously we're doing the podcast in your garage for a connoisseur of tools. What is your favorite tool?
Favorite tool? Boy, oh boy.
What is a tool that you couldn't live without that not many people have?
Man, that is, I don't know if I could answer that question. Honestly, I mean, I could probably make
the hardest question I've asked you.
The next one, I think, would be, it's always...
I don't know. Let me check Facebook Marketplace. I'll tell you in a minute.
Let's see. Give me a minute and I'll go find out what I need to buy next.
Tell you what tool should you sell?
Sell. That would be...
None of them.
I should probably sell my press brake. I got a 5-foot Chicago press brake that I don't use enough. And I bought one of them Langmuir that it takes up a lot of room. It's really heavy, but it's one of those, when I need it, it's there. And just like, I can't let you go. I do have, I'm actually looking right now, my 50-ton Little Giant power hammer, blacksmithing hammer. I have visions of grandeur to do blacksmithing, but I think that might be beyond my reach for at least the near future. My brother wants to buy it, so actually I might sell it to him. So
yeah, but
I have a real hard time letting go of stuff.
So you said you bought the Langmuir press brake?
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Titan. It's good. It's really accurate. It's a little slow. Like once you figure it out and you can use it, it depends on what kind of shop you're in, but it's a nice tool. And it's actually, I have Langmuir's XR plasma table.
Okay.
And everything I've gotten from them has been really good. I've had no issues. It's not high-end professional grade. It's accessible, to someone like me that, if I'm going from hand cutting everything to 3/4 plate on a table that's giving me no issues, I'm impressed with that. The press brake, I forget what it is, 30 inch width, I think, 28 between the frame, but you can do up to 1/4 inch, 3/8 possibly, depending on the size. But yeah, it's the options. Again, that's like a stepping stone tool for me. That's kind of how I judge myself. If I buy that and I don't outwork it, then I'm glad I didn't buy the 12-foot, $50,000 brake that it seems to be my MO. I start little, and then if I can figure out the little one, I either go hog wild and go out of my mind and buy the big, expensive, stupid one, or I keep with what I have.
What kind of tool purchases do you have coming up?
I bought Langmuir's laser table. That's the next.
I didn't even know they had a laser table coming.
Yeah, they did the pre-order. I got in on that, and I actually already sold I got to deliver my plasma table in March, so hopefully they get going with this laser table. So I own one somewhere. I don't know where it is or what they're doing or when they're going to release it, but I own one.
Some little kids in China still putting it together.
Yeah, he's like, man, that kid's on a podcast right now. What is he doing? Yeah, there's that one. And as far as other like big or big pressure, I don't have anything yet. Just that one. Most everything I'm set up pretty good, so I'm happy with that. So
are you focusing on doing with DTB Fab? Are you focusing on more shop work now rather than going out?
I do.
Okay.
I feel like I give the customer a better job, and it depends on what they're looking for. I'll still do buckets. I'll still do big parts or machine work and things like that. It's like, can you get it to me? I'll fix it for you. But I'm not chasing the work around in town. And a lot of the people I know that I deal with are in Massachusetts, which is not far. I'm on the border. I'm in New Hampshire, but to go chasing around, run 40 minutes to go fix something, I'm not their best option. And there's a few other guys around here. There's guys I know that I'll recommend the work to them, and it's sharing the wealth. And then some of those guys too. There's some great fabricators around here that they might only do just heavy equipment stuff, and when they need something TIG welded or something finessed a little bit, they send it my way. So that's been a real blessing too. There's one race car builder around here that he does just amazing work, and he has me do his TIG work for him. Those are the parts that I really enjoy doing. I feel like I can give the best product, so I try to stick with that. But if you're in a jam and he needs it, I was inside trash compactors a month ago. I don't know, okay, yeah. Sometimes I fall for it, and it's certain people I'll help out with anything, and of course friends I'll do anything for, and they know that. But as far as like seeking work or looking for work or doing work for external customers, yeah, I try to keep everything in house.
Yeah. What's your favorite job that you've had?
Boy, that's
Sounds like you do a wide variety of things. And it's kind of hard to choose.
Yeah, because when you say favorite, I like there's different levels of that. There's favorite on like testing myself, which would have been that frame, like that 34 Morgan frame was a real test to my capabilities. Satisfying jobs were like Chris Epps' mini skid when it blew the motor, and I was just in the right time in the right place, and in rebuilding that engine for him was like a just a fun thing to do, and everybody was so excited, and everybody got to learn. So Lucas and Man Made Mass and Jimmy and Dirk, like all them guys from that sort of crew got to see and learn and do and be a part of it too, and that was cool to show everybody. Like they all have that desire to learn those things. They just hadn't been as exposed to it. He actually didn't know it was when the motor blew up. Lucas asked me if I could look at it. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I picked it up, brought it back to shop, and then the end of that night, I had the motor out of the machine. It was upside down and torn apart, and the pistons were out. And Chris was like, "Does this kid know what he's doing? Like, what the hell just happened?" And that was a real fun experience, and everybody got to be a part of it and learn from it. So it's those, some jobs are really satisfying because the people I'm doing it for are so excited. The more excited the customer is, the more excited I am, and that makes it just so much fun. And that's what comes from personal projects, like getting someone's personal, something they're really emotionally attached to, or I've been able to restore some things. I've been able to fix some like childhood toys, things like that, like the nonsense things that everybody else wouldn't think any bit of. But you see a 7-year-old guy's light up that you fix something for them that they can give to their grandkids or something. Those are the ones that really stand out on what you're doing. You feel like you're doing something good in the world, besides some miserable contractor that broke his machine. He's just pissed because he can't go plow or something, and he's angry. It's like, yeah, I didn't do it.
Gives you personal satisfaction.
Yeah, it warms your heart.
Yeah. If you were to start your business all over again back in 2012, what would you change?
My confidence, probably.
Okay.
I think try to be more confident. I always second guess myself. I'm always the person that, they come to pick up projects like, well, I really wanted to do that. I wish I sanded that. I wish that finish was a little bit, you're always pointing out your mistakes, but they're not mistakes, and they didn't notice it till you said it.
Yeah.
It's, you're a doubter in your own abilities. And that's why I said there's a few jobs that give you that, like you stepped up a rung on a ladder, it builds that confidence in you. And I guess in saying that's what I guess I never want to be arrogant either, which, sometimes, like I said, I took jobs on that I didn't know how to do, but I did that from a level of, I will get it done. I don't care the cost. If it costs me money, I'm going to learn and I'm going to do it and I'm going to give them the proper result. But the confidence was always like, I don't know, I'm always doubting I didn't do a good enough job. I should have done better, and I try to build that up in other people when I'm around them, because I know that feeling. So I guess if that's one thing I'd change, would be it, because I think the information, the accessibility, my hard work, it was always there. It was just like, there were a lot of jobs I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't think I can do that. Where I should have been like, I got that. I can do that. But I suppose anybody that works for themselves, I'm sure, would say the same exact thing, that, a younger self. There's also a lot of things that I did bad. Like I said, there were the first cars I worked on and the first things I welded on and my first TIG welds that I even did for other people. I'm like, oh my God, why throw that away? Please don't tell anybody I did that. It's, but you don't know until you get to the side of the fence. Now that we're over here, it's like we can look back and go, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing.
What do you wish you knew when you first started out?
Probably more about the business side of things. Like the billing, the invoicing, what kind of, ROI you're looking for on jobs. What margins are you working in? I just did what I thought was right. And it was by cost of product. And, sometimes it was like, well, just whatever the product is, double it. Sometimes it was, I do jobs and it would take me 8 hours, and I look at it and go, I can't charge them that much money. Like, somebody else could have done it faster. And that was a dumb way to look at it. Like, well, somebody else might not have done what I did. Like, that goes back to that confidence thing, that I always felt like I was too much money, or I always felt like I wasn't getting enough. I don't know how to explain that. But it was just because I didn't have the education and experience in business to understand that side of it. I know how to work with my hands. I didn't know how to do billing, and I didn't know how to do business properly. I guess I was kind of winging it, really.
Yeah. How did you learn how to do it then?
Experience of talking to people. The more people, as I get older, the more people I met that owned businesses, had businesses, had lost businesses. I learned a lot from them. Especially the ones that were honest about why they lost it. Product purchasing. What do you do? Pay attention to little things that you think are little are actually big. That's one thing I really learned. The details matter. It's all in the details. It's not in the size, the scope. The big numbers don't matter. It's getting the little things right that makes the difference. But it was definitely people, for sure.
Gotcha. What investment do you wish you would have made sooner in your business?
Right now, I could say plasma table. That would have helped me immensely. I was looking at those plasma cams since they came out in the early 2000s or whenever it was that they started sending out all those flyers. I really wish I jumped on that.
I remember those.
I got onto it. I got into the plasma game late. I didn't buy one until, God, what was it? 4 years maybe I've had mine about that. And I just, again, that was a confidence thing. I thought I'd buy all that machine and I wouldn't know how to use it, and it would sit in the corner and collect dust. And now that I learned how to use it and I did it and I use it, I'm like, I don't know how I got half the stuff I did done. And then it goes back to time. I spent a lot of time hand making things that I could have just shot right out of the machine.
Yeah. Do you choose to outsource anything with having such a tight schedule? Do you outsource any of your the things that you are just like, you know what, like it's easier for them to do it, or do you just really try to keep everything in house?
I started out being the most stubborn person in the world, and that was kind of out of stupidity. Honestly, I just didn't know anybody. I felt like I was bothering people by outsourcing things. Where I outsource stuff. Some of the bending projects. If I'm ordering a material and I need 20 pieces bent, that's where it kind of goes back to what machine would I sell. Should probably be that Chicago break, because I have the accessibility in sourcing materials. It's like, I need this. Just send me these pieces bent and done, and then it shows up, and that's such a relief. It just being able to come in and then like, okay, I can put it together. Like everything is done that way. I started out buying, like, I'll just buy full length material. I need 2x2 tube. Just send me 22 footers or whatever, 24 footers, and I'll handle it. And then that was actually one of the things I guess I can go back on that one, is that one of the things I really learned was stop handling product. That I was handling product way too much. Instead of calling and say I need 20 pieces of 2 feet, it was I'd buy the whole thing and I'd cut it. And they weren't charging anything for it. It wasn't a big deal. Again, I felt like I was bothering because I was a small shop and I'm calling these big places, and I'm like, man, these guys don't want to deal with me. And now some of these people are my best friends. And I go in and I hang out with them and I talk to them. And that's where that part changed. That, handling material and trying to do everything by yourself doesn't help all the time.
Now, I learned that probably later than I should have, because it's one of those things, like by the time you get it and you put it on your saw and you run the pieces through, like they can just bundle it up there. Like, you need 30 or 20 of these pieces. Like, just let them cut it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I never realized the value of them cutting. Like, it's like $5 a cut. You know what I mean? Like that's what I ballpark. But when you're cutting like 8x8 square tube, like pay the $5.
And then when you figure out that, $5 a cut, well, if it took me 2 hours to cut it, well, there's my profit.
Exactly.
And that's that side of business that I'm like, holy crap, this is why other guys are doing it faster than me. This is why their margins are different. Like, what the hell, man? Yeah, those are those awakening moments that now it makes sense.
What are some more of those awakening moments that you've had?
Not every customer is your friend. There's been, they all come in and they're, oh man, can you help me with that? I really want to. And then, they change. They change once it's either a pricing or the quality or what their expectations actually is usually the difference. Yeah, and setting some boundaries a little bit sometimes. It's like, there's a lot of friends now and they understand and respect it. It's like, no, man, I don't want to do that for you, because I don't want that to get in between us as friends, And like I said, I'll help any friend do anything, and I don't care what it is, if it's carrying a sofa down the stairs or welding something for them. But it's like, knowing expectations is a tough thing to figure out. because everybody wants to be your friend, especially if you're the only guy that can fix something or do something, or you're the welder guy or the fix it guy. You buy a lift and everybody needs their oil changed, or you buy a trailer and everybody has something to move. It's the age old problems of owning stuff. But
how do you deal with that? Like how do you politely tell them like no?
You blow them off. You blow them off long enough, and they figure it out. That was the old way of doing it. Now it's I don't know. I think now at 43, my circle has shrunk to a group of people that respect me and respect what I do, and we all share that same mentality that we actually don't even have to talk about that anymore. They won't ask me, or I'll hear something. I'm like, hey, dude, what? Like, I'll help you out with that. Nah, I didn't want to bother you. It's like, no. Like, this is one we can do. And yeah, it's a I don't know, it's a fine line. I guess that's a personal characteristic that everybody has to learn for themselves. You be polite till you can't be polite anymore. Sometimes there's that. You just got to tell them to get lost. Or, yeah, I don't think there's any written rule for how to deal with that. But avoid them. If nothing else, just avoid them.
Just avoid it. Just block their number. I didn't get your call because your number's blocked.
Oh, man. Oh, that was you? Oh, geez, I didn't know. How'd you make out? I had somebody take care of it. Oh, man, yeah, geez, don't call me next time.
Awesome, man. Well, as we land this, I want to, what is one piece of advice that you'd give somebody in your similar situation that could help them on their journey that they wouldn't have to learn the hard way?
Expect it to be hard. There's no easy way, and you just gotta hustle. You gotta hustle, and probably my number one thing that I love and I live by is that if there's somebody in the room and there's somebody around you, or there's some old timer that knows something you don't know, stop and talk to them. There's nothing more important in your life. There's nothing that needs to be hurried up. If they want to talk for 2 hours, talk to them for 2 hours. If he wants to sit there and smoke a cigarette and take his time and drink his whiskey and he's just farting around and the story wanders, wait and listen. Listen to the guys.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that are so incredibly smart. And they don't share. They're not on YouTube. They're not on social media. They're not anywhere to be found. They're not in textbooks. They're in person. And you gotta sit and listen to them. My father always told me, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Shut up and listen. And anytime I'm in a room with somebody, I mean, I know we're sitting on here talking now, but I'm usually quiet. I just listen to people, and I want them to keep talking. It's infectious when you get to learn so much from and it all comes from experience. It's not like reading a textbook where, X, Y, and Z. It's experiences, personal experiences. Those are where I've learned so much of what I've done in my life. And most of them are willing to share it if you're willing to shut up and listen. If you walk in and go, oh, I did that. Oh, I've been on one of those. Oh, I've done one of those things. They're going to shut down. They'll stop talking to you because they don't want that. Nobody wants that. Yep. Let them tell their stories. Let them tell you what they did before you tell them what you do. That's why I tell everybody around me and the guys that come in and work with me or for me and younger kids or people that hang around the shop. It's like, just hang around and listen, man. There's so much info out there if you're listening.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that, man. That's great advice. Awesome. Well, David, I appreciate you taking the time. Am I going to see you at FabTech this year?
You will. Yeah,
awesome.
I'll be there.
I'm going to see you at the Fabricator Olympics.
It sounds like you set the dates correct, so I should be able to make it. There's no interference in that one.
Good, man. Good.
If I blow you off, it was on purpose. Hey, I'll give you.
Hey, man, you coming down? Yeah. Crickets.
If you don't hear the phone, that's me. Yeah,
awesome,
man,
buddy.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate you inviting me on here. It's been nothing but a pleasure. I can't believe I'm on a podcast with anyone, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed our talk, man. You have a lot of value to give. Just talking with you at FabTech last year is like, you know what? I got to get him on the show. I think that'd be a good time.
I appreciate that. I really do.
I appreciate you doing this, man.
No problem.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right. See ya.